So guys, welcome back to the Xupes Watches YouTube channel, and we're incredibly excited to bring our new format to you. Every week we're going to take on a new brand and we're going to have a look at the key references, the historical significance of the brand, and why some of the references from Rolex particularly are still some of the best value propositions in the market. It was back in 1905 that a 24-year-old Hans Wilsdorf in London started Rolex. Quite incredible to think that a business so large now, the most well-recognized watchmaker in the world, was actually originally from London. When it comes to Rolex's collection, we have two very distinct categories. We've got the classic collection, which is the Datejust and the Cellini, and then we have the professional offering, which are tailored for different adventures and activities as the professional offering, typically steel sports watches. So when the team at Xupes asked me to come to the table with the definitive family of watches from Rolex, as you'd imagine, it wasn't easy. As a result, I've actually come with three families because it wasn't possible to simply choose one. And so when we look at the key families here, we have the Submariner from 1953, the GMT from 1954, and of course the Daytona from 1963. So I know what you're saying there. You're asking why consider a Rolex, and it's a question that gets asked here at Xupes often by clients. There are a number of different factors. Number one, you can absolutely trust in the build quality. Rolex have mastered the manufacturing process to the point where these things are almost bulletproof. We've also then got the design element. These designs are iconic, and the reason I say that is because we've seen them for decades now. These watches were launched in the 1950s, 1960s, and they still look very similar today. So we are dealing with iconic design in any sector. It just happens to be watches. When it comes to Rolex versus other brands, it's important to cover off a few things. We have iconic design because of its quality. So the watches were made in the 50s and 60s, and they haven't changed a great deal since then. So we have a high level of robustness, we have an enduring appreciation of their design. And the other thing to say is that Rolex don't involve themselves a great deal in complexity. They like to deliver what they deliver and do it really, really well. So we don't see highly complicated, highly decorated calibers or movements in the watches. But as a result, we tend to see more Rolex than we do other brands. We could look at Blancpain, for example, and they are a maker who produce a comparison dive watch to the Submariner, the 50 Fathoms. They produce far less watches a year, but the price point is significantly higher from retail. So these things are a trade-off, but bottom line is you just can't go wrong when you're buying a steel sports watch from Rolex.